This is lesson 3-4, algebraic properties. We're going to use a little bit of algebra to try and learn the structure of proofs. And one of the things we need to have is some reasons for why we do what we do in algebra, in particular when we solve an equation. So some of these things are going to relate to that, all right? So it's the goal then, I can identify when reflexive, symmetric, transitive, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and distribution properties have been used. And we're going to identify those in proofs. So here are the properties, first of all. I kind of break this up right here. I think you guys understand all these down here. Let's look at that. If you substitute, like if A is equal to B, then you can replace A with B. Like B can take A's place because they're the same value, right? Distributive, you understand that, A times B plus A times C. You can multiply or divide on each side of an equation to solve it, and you can also add or subtract on each side of an equation to solve. So I think all these are very heavily things we recognize as steps in equation solving. The new ones really are these top three, reflexive, symmetric, and transitive. And so I like to use the memory device 1, 2, 3, RST. So the reflexive property really just compares one thing to itself and says any value is equal to itself. So any value of A is equal to A. That's all that says. I know it sounds like a silly rule, but just take that as an easy question, and you get a point for knowing it. So there you go. The symmetric property says it's okay to reverse the order of equality. So it says if A is equal to B, then I could simply say B is also equal to A. I can switch those around. So there I'm changing the order of two things. So 2 goes with S. 1, 2, 3, RST. 1 goes with R, 2 with S, and then 3 goes with T. It's the transitive. And it's kind of like if I bump into somebody and then they in turn bump into somebody else, well, it was really my fault that third person got bumped into, right? So it's kind of like this. If A is equal to B and B is equal to C, see that middleman right there? B is kind of the middleman. A is equal to B and then B is equal to C. Well, that means A and C have to be the same because they're both equal to B. And so on this one, we're really comparing the values of three things, okay, with that middleman in there. So one thing being compared to itself is reflexive. You could also think of like a reflection. You see your own reflection in a mirror. 2 is symmetric. It's two things being compared to each other. The order's being changed. And then for 3, A, B, and C, that's transitive, okay? So let's see how we might apply these. So we're just looking at these and saying, what's this an example of? So if 5A equals 15, then 15 equals 5A. Well, what have they done to this initial statement? Well, they've just reversed it. Well, how many things are in the statement? Well, 2 things. So we would say that is symmetry, or the symmetric property. Okay. If xy plus 3 equals fg, then what did they do to that equation to come up with xy equals fg minus 3? Well, the 3 switch sides. Well, how would you move a positive 3 from one side of an equation to the other? Well, you would make it negative or minus 3. So this is subtraction. Okay. If AB equals CD and AB equals EF, then CD equals EF. Well, this is a comparison between 3 things. I've got A, B, C, D, and EF being compared. Okay, and it's 3 things, so that's definitely transitive. Okay. If x divided by 5 is 7, then x is 35. What step did they take to get x divided by 5 equals 7 to be x equals 35? Well, the x is now alone. How could I get rid of this 5? Well, it's connected with a division sign, so you could multiply by 5 on both sides, and that's what they've done. They've multiplied. Okay. The measure of angle y is equal to the measure of angle y. Well, that's kind of a silly statement, but it's the reflexive property, right? You're comparing one thing to itself. Okay. If x equals 7, then 3x plus 8 equals 3 times 7 plus 8. Well, how'd they get 3x plus 8 to become 3 times 7 plus 8? They've replaced the x with a 7 right there. And so they did substitution. Okay? Hopefully you get the next one. When you see parentheses and then you don't, they have distributed. So distribution property. 9x minus 2 equals 18, then 9x equals 20. How'd they get rid of that minus 2 right there? This is no longer over there. It's not with the 9x. Where is it? Well, they added 2 to both sides, so this is addition. Okay. All right, here's your big test. You match them up. Stop the video, fill in all the blanks, use the multiple choice letters over there, and see how you did. All right, the first one looks like transitive to me. Comparing three things. I'm going to say that's B. A equals A. Oh, that's reflexive property. If AB equals BC, then, if A equals P, then B equals A. Well, they've switched the order of two things. That's our symmetric property. X minus 6 becomes just plain old X. Well, they must have added. So that's E. 5x becomes x. They must have divided. That's G. St plus 2 becomes just plain old st. Well, they subtracted the 2. That's H. A divided by 2 becomes A. They must have multiplied by 2. And if angle L plus angle J equals 180 and L equals 120, then 120 plus J equals 180. They've taken this value and substituted it in right there. That's D, substitution. Hopefully you got those right. I think there's a quiz that you can do, that'll help you practice these, all right?